Part 18. Now that their course of action had been determined, Hicks took a moment to check out the interior of the APC. Between the fire damage and the holes eaten by alien acid, it was clearly a write-off. Let's get together what we can carry. Hudson, give me a hand with the lieutenant. The Comtech eyed the paralyzed form of his commanding officer with undisguised distaste. How about we just sit him up in operations and strap him to the chair? He'll feel right at home. No sell. He's still alive and we've got to get him out of here. Yeah, I know. Just don't keep reminding me. Ripley, you keep an eye on the child. She's sort of taken to you anyway. The feeling's mutual. She clasped Newt tightly to her. Vasquez, can you cover us until the dropship touches down? She smiled at him, showing perfect teeth. Can pigs fly? She tapped the stock of the pulse rifle. The corporal turned to face the landing team's last human member. Are you coming? Don't be funny, Burke grumbled. I won't. Not here. This isn't a funny place. He switched on his headset pickup. Bishop, you found anything out? The synthetic's voice filled the passenger bay. Not much. The equipment here is colonial-style basic. I've gone about as far as I can go with the tools available. It doesn't matter. We're getting out. Pack it up and meet us on the tarmac. Can you make it okay? I don't want to abandon the APC until the dropship's on final approach. No problem. It's been quiet back here anyway. Okay. Don't take anything you can't carry easily. And move it. The dropship rose from its place on the concrete pad, fighting the wind as it lifted. Under Ferro's steady hand it hovered, pivoted in mid-air, and began to move over the colony towards the stalled APC. I got you on visual. Wind's let up a little. I'll set her down as close as I can. Ferro informed them. Roger. Hicks turned to his companions. Ready? Everyone nodded except Burke, who looked sour but said nothing. Then let's get out of here. He cycled the door. Wind and rain poured in as the ramp extended. They filed rapidly out of the vehicle. The dropship was already in plain sight, edging towards them. Searchlights blazed from its flanks and belly. One illuminated a single human shape striding through the mist towards them. Hey, Bishop! Vasquez waved. Long time no see. He called across to her. Didn't work out so good, huh? It stank. She spat downwind. I'll tell you about it sometime. Later, after hypersleep, after we've put this place far behind us. She nodded, the only one of the waiting group whose attention was not monopolized by the approaching dropship. Her dark eyes continuously scanned the landscape around the personnel carrier. Nearby, Ripley waited, gripping Newt's small hand tightly. Hudson and Hicks carried the still unconscious Gorman between them. Hold it there, Ferro instructed them. Give me a little room. I don't want to come down on top of you. She thumped her headset pickup. It'd be nice if I had a little help up here, Spunkmeyer. Get off the pot. The compartment door slid aside behind her. She glanced back over her shoulder, angry and not bothering to hide the fact. Well, it's about time. Where the... Her eyes widened, and the rest of her accusation trailed away. It wasn't Spunkmeyer. The alien barely fit through the opening. Outer jaws flared to reveal the inner set of teeth. There was a blur of movement and an explosive, organic whoosh. Pharaoh barely had time to scream as she was slammed backward into the control console. From below, the would-be refugees watched in dismay as the dropship veered wildly to port. Its main engines roared to life, and it accelerated even as it lost altitude. Ripley grabbed Newt and sprinted towards the nearest building. "Run!" The dropship clipped a rock formation at the edge of the causeway, slewed left, and struck a basalt ridge. It tumbled, turning completely on its back like a dying dragonfly, struck the tarmac, and exploded. Sections and compartments began to break away from the main frame, some of them already afire. The body of the ship arced into the air once more, bouncing off the unyielding stone, fire blazing from its engines and superstructure. Part of an engine module slammed into the APC, setting off its armament. The personnel carrier blew itself to bits as shells and fuel exploded inside it. A flaming Catherine wheel, the remains of the dropship skipped past and rolled into the outskirts of the atmosphere processing station. A tremendous fireball lit the dark sky of Acheron. It faded rapidly. Emerging from concealment, the stunned survivors stared at the debris in disbelief as their superior firepower and hopes of getting off the planet were simultaneously reduced to charred metal and ash. "Well, that's great," said a near-hysterical Hudson. "That's just great, man. Now what are we supposed to do? Oh, we're in some real fine shape now." "Are you finished?" Hicks stared hard at the Comtech until Hudson looked abashed. Then he glanced at Ripley. "You okay?" She nodded and tried to hide her real feelings as she looked down at Newt. She could have spared herself the effort. It was impossible to hide anything from the child. Newt looked calm enough. She was breathing hard, true, but it was from the effort of racing for cover, not from fear. The girl shrugged, sounding remarkably grown up. "I guess we're not leaving, right?" Ripley bit her lip. "I'm sorry, Newt." "You don't have to be sorry. It wasn't your fault." She stared silently at the flaming wreckage of the dropship. Hudson was kicking aside rocks, bits of metal, anything smaller than his boot. "Just tell me what we're supposed to do now. What are we gonna do now?" Burke looked annoyed. "Maybe we could build a fire and sing songs." Hudson took a step towards the company rep, and Hicks had to intervene. "We should get back." Everyone turned to look down at Newt, who was still staring at the burning dropship. "We should get back 'cause it'll be dark soon. They mostly come at night. Mostly." "All right." Hicks nodded in the direction of the ruined APC. It was mostly metal and composites and shouldn't burn much longer. "The fire's about had it. Let's see what we can find." "Scrap metal?" suggested Burke. "And maybe something more. You coming?" The company rep rose from where he'd been sitting. "Well, I'm sure not staying here." "Up to you." The corporal turned to their synthetic. "Bishop, see if you can make operations livable. What I mean is, make sure it's clear. The android responded with a gentle smile. Take point. I know what that means. I'm expendable, of course. Nobody's expendable. Hicks started across the tarmac towards the smoking APC. Let's move it! Day on Acheron was dim twilight. Night was darker than the farthest reaches of interstellar space, because not even the stars shone through its dense atmosphere to soften the barren surface with twinkling light. The wind howled around the battered metal buildings of Hadley Town, whistling down corridors and rattling broken doors. Sand pattered against cracked windows, a perpetual snare drum roll. Not a comforting sound to be heard. Inside, everyone waited for the nightmare to come. Emergency power was sufficient to light operations and its immediate environs, but not much else. There, the weary and demoralized survivors gathered to consider their options. Vasquez and Hudson had made one final run to the hulk that was the armored personnel carrier. Now they sat down their prize, a large, scorched, dented packing case. Several similar cases were stacked nearby. Hicks glanced at the case and tried not to sound too disappointed. He knew what the answer to his question would be, but he asked it anyhow. Maybe he was wrong. Any ammo? Vasquez shook her head and slumped into an office chair. Everything was stored in the airspace between the APC's walls. It all went up when she caught fire. She pulled off her sweat-soaked bandana and wiped a forearm across her hairline. Man, what I wouldn't give for some soap and a hot shower. Hicks turned towards the table on which reposed their entire weapons inventory. This is it then. Everything we could salvage. His gaze examined the stock, wishing he could triple it by looking at it. We've got 4 pulse rifles and about 50 rounds each. Not so good. About 15 M40 grenades and 2 flamethrowers, less than half full. 1 damaged. And we've got 4 of these robot sentry units with their scanners and display relays intact. He approached the stack of packing cases and broke the seal on the nearest. Ripley joined him in inspecting the contents. Stabilized in packing foam was a squat automatic weapon. Secured in a separate set of boxes next to it was matching video and movement sensor instrumentation. Looks pretty efficient, she commented. Yeah, they are. Hicks shut the case. Without them, I'd say we might as well cut our wrists right now. With them, well, our chances are better than none anyway. Trouble is, we need about 100 like this one and 10 times the ammunition. But I'm grateful for small favors. He rapped his knuckles on the hard plastic case. If these hadn't been packed like this, they would have gone bluey with the rest of the APC. What makes you think we stand a chance anyway? Hudson said. Ripley ignored him. How long after we're declared overdue can we expect a rescue? Hicks looked thoughtful. He'd been too absorbed with the problems of their immediate survival to think about the possibility of any help from outside. We should have filled a mission update yesterday. Call it about 17 days from today. The Comtech whirled and stomped off, waving his arms disconsolately. Man, we're not gonna make it 17 hours! Those things are gonna come in here just like they did before, man! They're gonna come in here and get us, long before anyone from Earth comes picking around to see what's left of us! And they're gonna find us too, All sucked out and blown dry like those poor colonists we cremated down on sea level. Like Dietrich and Crow, man. He started to sob. Ripley indicated the silently watching Newt. She survived longer than that with no weapons and no training. The colonists didn't know what hit them. We know what to expect, and we've got more wrenches and hammers to fight back with. We don't have to clean them out. All we have to do is survive for a couple of weeks. Just keep them away from us and stay alive. Hudson laughed bitterly. Yeah, no sweat. Just stay alive. Dietrich and Crow are alive too. We're here and we've got some armaments and we know what's coming. So you'd better just start dealing with it. Just deal with it, Hudson. Because we need you and I'm tired of your comments. He gaped at her, but she wasn't through. Now get on that central terminal and call up some kind of floor plan file. Construction blueprints, maintenance schematics, anything that shows the layout of this place. I want to see air ducts, electrical access tunnels, sub-basements, water pipes. Every possible way into this wing of the colony. I want to see the guts of this building, Hudson. If they can't reach us, they can't hurt us. They haven't ripped through these walls yet, so maybe that means they can't. This is colony operations. We're in the most solid structure on the planet, excepting maybe the big atmosphere processing stations. We're up off the ground and they haven't shown any signs of being able to climb a sheer wall. Hudson hesitated, then straightened slightly, relieved to have something to concentrate on. Hicks nodded his approval to Ripley. Affirmative, the Comtech told her, a little of his cockiness restored. With it came a dram of confidence. I'm on it. You want to know where every plug is in this dump? I'll find it. He headed for the vacant computer console. Hicks turned to the synthetic. You want a job, or have you already got something in mind? Bishop looked uncertain. This was part of his social programming. An android could never actually be uncertain. If you require me for something specific. Hicks shook his head. In that case, I'll be in medical. I'd like to continue my research. Perhaps I may stumble across something that will prove useful to us. Fine, Ripley told him. You do that. She was watching him closely. If Bishop was conscious of this excessive scrutiny, he gave no sign of it as he turned and headed for the lab.